Hey guys, my wife Penny is going to do most of this presentation today, but we wanted to give you just a little background before you come in on Wednesday. Penny was a long-term administrator. She just retired from K-12 and she's interviewed a lot of people, so she's a great resource for us. And she's going to talk about the interview process. In other words, there's some steps that you're probably going to have to navigate before you get to this face-to-face interview. She's going to talk about those steps, but she's also going to talk a lot about how you can find information on your school that you're interviewing at before you go into the interview, which is going to demonstrate to them that you take this job very seriously. I'm really excited about this. I'm really passionate about this. Uh, Hopefully, this is going to help you get a job.
Hello, everyone. I'm Penny Sturtevant, Mr. Sturtevant's wife, and I apologize for the attire right now, but I've been busy all day doing lots of things. But I wanted to get this information out to you so that on Wednesday, when we actually meet in person, it's a go and we can really hopefully help set you up for success as you approach that first job interview and, uh, and actually obtain that first job. In the interview process, the most likely, the first thing that's going to happen for you is a screener. The screener is something that helps the district decipher candidates that they want to take further into the interview process and candidates that they don't want to move on. This is typically done over the phone, rarely done in person. I personally am screener certified for a screener called Ventures. And what these screeners do is they try to get at the core value of you as a teacher, looking at what motivates you, what you think about students, how you approach your teaching. And you always want to emphasize things out of dedication and you emphasize out of looking for each student to succeed, always thinking of student first. So it's real important to understand that approach, realize that again, these are usually done over the phone, and you want to put your best foot forward as who you are and who you will be as a teacher. If you get through the screener, and I do want to mention when I come down Wednesday, I'm happy to share with you some examples of screener questions, and we can talk a little more on screeners if you want. But let's say you make it through the screener and they've all of a sudden chosen you as one of the candidates to move on. The next step is a fit interview. And a fit interview is just that. Do you fit their district and the position that is open? So in this instance, this is a lot of what you're going to be doing in class, practicing fit interviews. This is what your capstone project is about. This is seeing that you understand the district, you understand what they want from their students. And this is where you need to do some research before you go into the interview. These are typically done in person, and they are often done in multiple steps. You might be meeting with a large group of people at first, maybe the department you would be teaching in or the grade level you would be teaching at. Then if you make it through that, then you might meet with just a small group or just the building principal. And then often the final step then comes from central office where you may even meet with an HR person or the superintendent and be one of the last one or two candidates for it. So fit interviews happen often in stages, but here instead of just about you, it's about you understanding them and their district as well. So you're ready for your fit interview. How do you prepare? You want to know the district. You want to know the school. You want to know the position. You want to know what they want of their students. So how do you do that? You want to do is learn about the school and the district. You can do this by looking at the district website. The Ohio Department of Education has a lot of resources on it. One of the things that is consistent from district to district is the report card. Um, Different types of publications, the U.S. News and World Report, often have many of the information and demographics of the schools and districts. And also, you might just have some connections within the districts to hear about it. So check out the district in multiple ways. data and the facts on the district, the next step is vital. This step is one that just might actually get you the job. This shows you are understand their district and what they want their students to become. So spend some time on this. This is not always easy to acquire. Typically, their website is probably the best resource. You see the list of things here from mission statement, district vision, portrait of a graduate, student profile, quality profile. There may be other terminology out there, and you may have to dig deep in the website, but spending time figuring out what they want students to know, who they want their students to be, who their staff is, could be that factor that lands you the job. Sometimes that information on what they aspire to be is not easy to find. So what happens if you can't find much of information or hardly any at all? That's when you go back to some of the data that we mentioned prior, the report card from the state website, anything you might find in other areas. Reach out to some people around. Um, do just some Google searches, see what you see um, on the internet. But always, no matter what you find in that interview, you make sure you're having positive and strong pedagogy in your interview. Don't go off on a tangent that you don't know about or say anything negative. Stick with what you know is good teaching. Okay, guys, so here's what I want you to do before Wednesday. I want you to choose a district and then research a district. I want you to look up, maybe have a little bit of data on them, and then look for what they aspire to be as a district and what they want their students to be. Look for that student profile, the mission statement, vision statement, whatever you can find, and be ready to be able to speak about that district, maybe what would be a question you would be asking in the interview for that district. That'll really guide you in this practicing interview process and what we hope to do on Wednesday. So I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.
Hey, okay, guys, when you come in on Wednesday, you got to have your school all picked out, and hopefully you've at least been on their website and scouted around some and tried to get as much information as you could on the school. Something else I want to tell you, well, I'll get to that. I want to talk quickly about the rubric. If you look at this, there are 6 criteria that you're going to be assessed on. And this is what your score in Blackboard is going to be based upon, are these 6 criteria. And the very first one on dressing professionally, don't you dare take a gamble and dress really casually for an interview, because even if like you're going to like Ridgewood where they dress very casually, it's not a good look to go into that interview just assuming that you can dress like someone who works there already. I mean, you want to dress professionally. You want to show them that you're very serious about the job. And so I'm saying, like, from the waist up, wear like a nice shirt, a sweater. Uh, Wear something that you would consider wearing in an interview. And if you don't have that on there, I'm going to take some points off. Okay, now you also want to demonstrate enthusiasm. Show that you want the job. Don't go in there and flatline. And if you have to practice, that's what Wednesday's all about. You can re-record your video. And then the next 3 criteria have to do with the specific questions. Questions about, how will you assess learning? How will you monitor progress? What will you do for students who are struggling? These are I've talked to superintendents, they say, yeah, those questions should be asked. Now, the last 2 are really important. Uh, it's one thing to have like a theory on what should take place. But it makes so much more impact if you back that up with a reference of some kind. You can reference the 15 fixes for broken grades. You can reference Mr. Rinkus's presentation. You can reference the experience at Ridgewood. You can reference anything in the textbook or anything I've said or anything that you've gotten from any of your classes at Muskego. But or outside of that, but you want to not just say, well, I feel like this because I just know it's the way it is. You want to demonstrate that you're deeper than that and you've done some research. And then on the last one, I want to see in your interview that you have researched the school where you're applying. And this happens to a lot of students who want to go back to their home school. they somewhat take this opportunity for granted. Like, oh, I went to school there. I know all about this school. No, you don't. You need to go in there and find out what the objectives are of the school, like what their policies are on intervention, what's the demographics of the school, what are the long range goals of the school. And if you can reference one of those things in your interview, I would do more than one, but if you can reference at least one, I will give you credit on this. And it'll demonstrate to your interviewer that you're really serious about this job. You don't take it for granted. The last portion of the rubric I'm really excited about. This comes right from Indeed. Indeed is the uh, organization that's all about getting people jobs. And these are 15 things that you should do in an interview. This will not impact your grade, but I will make comments on this. And you want to try to hit as many of these as you possibly can. On Wednesday, we're going to do a lot of practice. We're going to watch Caitlin, our volunteer, like go through the process, but then we are going to practice with our peers. It's going to be, I think, really helpful.